We always want to be at a place that treats our imagination.
I want to go someplace where I can marvel at something.
A place immersed in its beauty and soaking in its culture.
The light, colors, smiles. It teaches me something.
A place that keeps its arms open to greet you with emotion.
Welcome to the best exotic marigold hotel.
Time and again, India has been the chosen destination for some of the world's biggest blockbusters. A destination that has not only brought you the most diverse set of locations, but also an equal amount of challenges while capturing the vision onto film. Keeping up to its promises, the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting set up the Film Facilitation Office in the National Film Development Corporation of India, or NFDC, to become a single window clearance and facilitation mechanism for both domestic and international filmmakers.
All filmmakers of the world, here is your red carpet in India. You have beautiful and scenic locations, local talent, skilled workers, all facilitation through this center.
Since its inception in December 2015, FFO has been easing the filmmaking process for everyone by successfully facilitating over 110 international projects.
I had a wonderful experience shooting in India. We shot a better part of the film Dhaka in India. The locations were extremely exotic and I fell in love with India.
FFO office made shooting Tenet for Mr. Christopher Nolan so easy. They did all the hand-holding to get all the permissions on time.
We know obtaining local permits from nook and corners of a state can be quite a challenge. Therefore, FFO has been continuously working with various states and central government agencies to further streamline the permitting process and their filming policies. In sync with the government's Digital India initiative, FFO also launched its web portal www.ffo.gov.in for processing online applications for filming in India in a time-bound manner. Additionally, the portal also brings together all the information that you require for filming in India.
It's going to be extraordinary.
FFO works as a platform for industry stakeholders to engage with the government and promote India as a film-friendly destination.
We have shoots going on in Lucknow, we have a shoot that is about to start in Punjab, and we are just talking to the FFO and they are being extremely helpful.
This initiative is wonderful and very well welcomed by the production fraternity because of the fact that it makes it so much easier for units to be able to shoot in a seamless manner.
Where directors and actors have constantly gone on record to describe shooting in India as an adventure, FFO intends to make this adventure all the more seamless and exciting for filmmakers around the globe. With FFO's ceaseless support to every passionate storyteller, we invite you to experience the magic. Ignite your imagination. Come, film in India.
Greetings everybody. Welcome to the Virtual India Pavilion at Cannes for this very interesting discussion we're going to have about filming in India. I say greetings to everybody so that it covers all time zones, considering everybody is from different time zones, including the audience members. Before I introduce the panelists, I would just first of all like to invite Srimati Neerja Sekhar, Additional Secretary in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, to give a keynote address to start off this session. Over to you, ma'am.
Hello to all friends here on the session. We welcome you to this session on the Virtual India Pavilion. I hope we'll be able to see each other physically very soon, at least next year, if not this one. And maybe before that, we'll be able to see you otherwise personally when you visit India or whatever occasion we can find to interact with each other. This session is on filming in India. Now, filming is all about the medium, the visual medium. We in India, are the largest filmmaking country in the world. We make around 4,000 films in a year, And if I put together short films and documentaries and other video formats, these are more than 20,000 in a year, and that's massive. That's the kind of output that we have in India, which clearly shows that we are not only covering a large part of our country. We have immense talent here. We have immense production facilities, post-production facilities. Our industry is huge, and in terms of even the regions and the languages that we represent, the diversity that we talk about India. So the film industry in India is not represented by any single language medium. There are a number of languages in which the films are made. So that's the beauty of filming in India, or having the content produced in India. Along with the regional and the language and the production facilities and post-production facilities that we have, we also have huge and beautiful locations, from the rivers to the mountains to the deserts and the beaches. Immense locational diversity that we have. In fact, visual is such a powerful medium that if I look at, if I think of some beauty that I can think of, it is generally in terms of a beautiful visual that you have in picture, in mind. I remember long back, many years back, maybe 25 years back, I was working, and I had to go to a particular village in Bihar, which was not connected by road. And I was walking with a couple of my colleagues, and we were, there were no roads. I was walking on a earthen path. And what do I see there? I saw women transplanting paddy. They were singing, because there were a number of women. They were singing. And a little far away, there were cows, and their bells were tingling, and the birds were chirping. For me today, that visual of huge greenery all around, women singing, beautiful animals there and birds, that's a visual still fresh in my mind. That's the power of the visual medium. So something that you can internalize, it's something that stays with you forever. That's the beauty of what we can film. That is, and then I realized that gradually over the years, I got opportunities to travel to different parts of the world. I remember traveling out of Prague on a train with my friends, and suddenly we looked around, and the landscape was so different from India, but still breathtaking. And then you go to Tuscany and those rolled. So each part of the world has something different to offer. But I would say that India has to offer, in terms of beauty and locales, much more than most parts of the world. Because what we have here are the regional diversities, geographical locations, the diversity of locations that we have. So I would welcome all the participants, and through you, we would like to reach out to the world community as to how they can come to India, and also to further share how ready we are to welcome you all. You are aware that we have worked on, the government has worked on the policy of ease of doing filming in India, and we have worked on it. We are also working further on various processes that it takes to ease out that filming. For example, let's say working with the Animal Welfare Board of India. We have been working with them. We've started conversation with them so that the filmmakers find it convenient to get their approvals, their no objections on time, and it becomes a seamless process, for which our film facilitation office has been working very hard over the years. In the last 5 years, more than 100 international projects, maybe 150 to 100 plus projects have come to India from different parts of the world who've taken permission and have actually filmed from India. And we've also worked with them on co-production basis, not only in the film sector, but on the broadcasting in the television sector also. We are working on with various countries. We have co-production agreements with about 30 countries, bilateral agreements, with whom we share our broadcasting data or can share our broadcasting content, and also see all these opportunities that we have through OTT, through television, and through films. They are all making the world one big family. We've been talking of globalization, but it's so much of a reality that we can see it daily in the comfort of our homes. That's how close the world is to us on a day-to-day basis. So in addition to Animal Welfare Board that I'm talking about, we have also eased and reached out to the historical monuments, the archaeological monuments through the various institutions that we have. Our film facilitation office of NFDC is there to facilitate the filmmakers wherever these permissions are required, so that they don't have to move from one permission site to another to undergo this process. They can devote their entire time for creative pursuits and for putting things together for their shooting and filming. And we are the ones, the government office is the one which will take care of all the permissions and requirements that you have to work in an environment. And even not only the international, but the domestic participants, domestic producers have also been utilizing this facility, where we have tried to ease out filming in India. And it has been a great, I'm sure it has been a great experience for all of you. We also offer huge, not only shooting, but also post-production, the kind of skills that have been developed in India over a period of time. It is a huge industry in itself. So even if one doesn't decide to go to all the beautiful locations and places that I'm talking about, just sitting in one place and using the workforce, skilled workforce that we have for your post-production requirements, that itself is something which many countries, many producers over the world have found very helpful. And that again is something which would be a very attractive, I think, for all the producers to come to India and film in India and complete their production process in India, and for which I'm looking forward so much to listen to all of you and to how to further strengthen and improve these processes so that it becomes easier for you to do your own work. The role of the government we see is of an enabler and a facilitator. You are the ones who are going to take the culture of India and to enrich the filmmaking in India. And we are here to support you in this entire enterprise. And I am really keen to listen to all of you now. And thank you for having me here. And I hope to listen to all of you very intensely. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for that great introduction. And the picture that you painted, the visuals that you painted, were like a great sequel to the introduction film that we played just before the session started. And I'm sure that people who are watching this will now definitely consider the visuals that you were talking about and actually go and see them for themselves as we move forward. Now, to take things forward, it is my pleasure to now introduce all the panelists. We have Mrs. Dhanpreet Kaur, Director of Films and Managing Director of the National Film Development Corporation. We have Mr. Shekhar Shukla, the Principal Secretary and Managing Director of the Madhya Pradesh Tourism Board. We have Mr. Shaji N. Karun, who is no stranger to Cannes, an icon of cinema in our country, and whose film Piravi was Cannes many years ago and received a special mention in the Camera d'Or category. So welcome, sir. We have Emmanuel Pappas, a producer whose latest film, Skater Girl, is showcasing India to a completely different audience worldwide on Netflix. And we have Alan McCallix, well-known producer who has worked on various international projects shooting in India. So I think it's going to be a great exchange of ideas. Dhanpreet ma'am, I'll start with you to first of all sort of give us an introduction, sort of a concise picture about the activities of the FFO, specifically in terms of how the single window clearance system has worked now over the years and how it has evolved. And secondly, how FFO has also integrated with other organizations. I believe you have integrated with the railways, with the ASI and so on. So it would be great if you could just give us sort of a big picture about the FFO. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Nyan. Good afternoon and good evening to everyone who has joined here. Dear friends, as it has been mentioned by the keynote address by Additional Secretary, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, that India has rolled out the red carpet for all the producers and the filmmakers to come to India and shoot in India. For this purpose, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting has set up an office named as Film Facilitation Office. This office is working in the ministry since 2016. Through this office, we have an online system and all applications of the international producers, which were later on extended to the domestic producers as well. So all applications are taken online, and there is an online system of providing the permissions to them, so that the trouble of coming to different offices, which an international producer might not be knowing, is taken care of. And also FFO over the years, over these past 5 years, has set up its own network of nodal officers in various state governments also. We have integrated with few states and are also in progress with integration with many other states as well. As far as central government ministries clearances are required, we have our integration of our online portal with Ministry of Railways, and also with talks are on with AWBI, Animal Welfare Board, and also with Archaeological Survey of India. So we are also looking forward to more and more clearances, which can be given from a single platform, so that we facilitate the international producers to come and shoot in India, so that the landscapes of India that have been mentioned, we have shown a video before also, is popularized throughout. We have international producers with us on this panel, and I'm sure they'll share their experiences of shooting in India, of filming in India, and working with our technicians, working with our digital experts, working with our technocrats, and how all these facilities can be get in India. Thank you, Nyay. Vikramjit Roy is also here, Nyay. If any further details are required in the chat box, if somebody asks, so he'll give the more details also.
Yes, definitely. We'll get to Vikramjit also, who's the head of the FFO. I'm sorry I didn't introduce you earlier, but I don't think you need any introduction because I think everybody knows you. So anyway, moving on. I think I'll start off by just getting some perspective from the producers. So I'll ask Emmanuel, if you can share your experiences in terms of when you were shooting your film in Rajasthan, I believe. What sort of facilities did you get, and how was your experience as a producer?
Yeah, I believe Skater Girl was actually the first film to go through the new system, the one window clearance system, the online system. And right at the beginning, you know, there were very little hiccups at all. It was pretty smooth. And I found the FFO to be incredibly, you know, supportive and responsive. That's the main thing when you're coming down to a country, that you're getting the response you need in a timely response, because film, of course, is, you know, incredibly time sensitive. So, you know, everything was online. Everything was processed very fast. It was, you know, I spent about 20 years shooting all throughout the country. And I can say definitely in the last 5 years going through that process, it was just so much more streamlined than the previous 15 years. The only thing, you know, with international producers coming down, a lot of times they really need some guidance in terms of understanding the requirements. For example, the undertaking, sometimes, you know, whoa, I have to do an undertaking. But they're really there just to protect the country overall. It's never really enforced. So a lot of times you need someone local to kind of explain that and kind of help facilitate and just inform, really, because the nuances of India are different to any other country.
So in your experience, Emmanuel, sorry, you use the FFO portal a lot also in terms of getting online permissions and everything?
Yeah, in the past, we used to have to go to, the respective jurisdictions, like in San Francisco, or depending where you're applying from. But now when you go through Delhi, it's just this one window. Everything was online. It was all via email. So yeah, it was much more streamlined. Even your list of your visas, your crew that you're bringing down, that process was much smoother as well. So it always helps when things are being pushed down from Delhi to the nodal offices.
Yes.
Getting things pushed from Delhi is always much more helpful.
Well, that's great to hear. Alan, if you can share your perspectives, I believe after A Suitable Boy, you're working on some other international projects as well. So if you can just share a bit more about the new projects as well.
Sure. The Film Facilitation Office has been a one-stop shop for all of us. I mean, initially we used to go to various departments, and now it's just, you just get right from having a script cleared to having visas where FFO would inform the various consulates from where the crew is coming, ease that out, including custom clearances. I mean, recently we had a shipment coming in where the FFO had informed the customs commissioner, and we just got everything out in 2 days.
Okay.
So it's been ease of a lot of operations in terms of, as Emmanuel also pointed out, in terms of the nodal officers of various other ministries in terms of clearances. So the whole process in terms of the timeline has become so easy, and it's all online. You just apply it. You submit the script online. So the whole accessibility has become easy, even to other ministries, which has become sometimes tough to reach out to. The FFO has made that an easy point access to reach out to other ministries for other clearances in terms of the railway permission and stuff like that. So yes, with Suitable Boy and something we're doing now, of course, the pandemic has, the lockdown has hit us, but it has delayed stuff, but things have still moved in spite of the previous lockdown in the last 2 months. We had a shipment already halfway in, and we still got it all cleared in the middle of it all.
Well, that's good to hear. So the show must go on, basically. Yeah. Yeah, Emmanuel, please.
I just want to add, in the past, you would submit your paperwork and you wouldn't really know. It would go in a black hole. You wouldn't know where it would go. You'd have to call your contact in Delhi. Hey, can you go to the office? Go stand there in line and try and figure out, where it is in the process. But this is much more responsive. You feel like there's an accountability. There's a responsiveness from the ministry. So, and there's also a repository of where your information is sitting. So that, to me, is much more reassuring, of course, as a producer.
That's good to know. Actually, my own perspective is that when I've been seeing the evolution of the FFO and all its activities over the last many years, and especially the website is like the first point of entry, really. And when you see the website, it shows all the locations and everything. And it sort of gives you a snapshot of what India has to offer, as Nija ma'am was also mentioning. So I would like to bring in Mr. Shukla here about how Madhya Pradesh has showcased itself, and what are the incentives and the other facilities that Madhya Pradesh has offered, and what kind of projects have you attracted as a result of all your activities?
Thank you, Nyay. In fact, Madhya Pradesh has always been a favorite state among the filmmakers. Alan is here, and Suitable Boy was filmed here. A number of good projects have been done here. Madhya Pradesh has been very, very hospitable in any case to any investor, any filmmaker who comes to Madhya Pradesh. Now that everything is going on a very high pitch, and Madhya Pradesh is fast becoming a very hot and favorite destination for filmmakers, we have tried to institutionalize certain measures whereby they get that kind of a comfort and ease to operate in Madhya Pradesh, and the film producers, they come here, they focus on their job basically, and rest of the things we take care of. Since tourism department also has a mandate to promote tourism of Madhya Pradesh and take the beautiful sites of Madhya Pradesh to the national and international level, so it also serves our purpose both ways. So we have created a film facilitation cell in the Madhya Pradesh Tourism Board, and we have come out with a very good, vibrant film policy in 2020, which gives a lot of good, ways to start work in Madhya Pradesh, various kinds of incentives for filmmaking here, to encourage filmmaking in regional languages, to create filming infrastructure in the state, and so many other things are incorporated into this. And we have ensured that anybody who comes here, we do hand-holding, and we have a dedicated, resource attached to the filmmaker who takes care of all the nitty-gritties of filming in the state. Of course, apart from having a single window portal-based permission system, which is functioning very efficiently, we have one-to-one contact with the film producers and also the various locations where one is filming. And so anybody who wants to do any shooting in Madhya Pradesh, one needs to have, what one looks for is a good location, good right climate. And all these things are the USPs of, I need not elaborate on that. We are blessed. Mother Nature has really bestowed her benevolence by, we are rich in natural and cultural assets. Then we have a very vibrant and life policy to incentivize. Then of course, ease of doing filming and business over here. And above all, a very amiable lot of people who are very cooperative, and they give their unhindered support while shooting in the locations. And now we are fast having a very good ecosystem being developed in the state, where we have right kind of people and professionals who are going to be available in the state itself, so that people don't have to be moved, infra and other equipments don't have to be moved from other places to Madhya Pradesh. So that way we are trying to promote it, and we are getting a very enthusiastic response from the film industry.
Thank you, sir, for that. I believe you have a video to also showcase, so that will give us an even more sort of vivid image of what you're talking about. So I think we can cue in the video now.
Cinema is a matter of what's in the frame and what's out. Indian cinema is inspired and influenced by society, and it portrays it colorfully. From silent films to marvelous melodies, from black and white to 3D films, Indian film industry has emerged as a popular medium to showcase the writer's story. Madhya Pradesh, the land of creativity and culture. The state of Madhya Pradesh, being an award-winning state for its tourist-friendly facilities, has become a fascination for Indian film and television industry over the years, as it represents a more authentic India, a historic India, and an India with local color, rich heritage, and culture. We invite you to come and explore the picturesque landscape of Madhya Pradesh. Come discover the romance of love and life at Khajuraho, Mandu, the thrill of wildlife at Kanha and Bandhavgarh, the periodic drama at the forts and monuments of Gwalior, Orchha, the joyful culture of Bundelkhand and Malwa, the action of modern cities like Bhopal, Indore. Madhya Pradesh offers much more to the filmmakers for a diverse filmmaking experience. The perfect colors and the diversity indeed make the state an ideal place to shoot the film. Being the land of legendary actors, writers, singers and directors, Madhya Pradesh has always been on the map of favored shooting locations. Madhya Pradesh means movies. More than 2,000 movies in more than 20 languages are produced every year in India. Madhya Pradesh Tourism Board welcomes the film and television industry with a statewide producer-friendly film tourism policy, with key features like single-window film facilitation cell for the filmmakers to assist in a professional manner. The state government provides direct financial subsidy for feature films, web series, TV serials and documentary shooting. The policy provides special benefits for regional films like Kannada, Telugu, Tamil and Malayalam. We have created well-connected land bank to develop infrastructure for film industry like studios, skill development center and post-production units. Madhya Pradesh welcomes the cinema of India in the heart of incredible India to turn your stories into a blockbuster.
Thank you, sir, for that wonderful presentation. I think that should be a great appetizer for anybody who's planning a location scouting trip to India right now. The other interesting thing that I've noticed over the years in terms of how the FFO and how the entire effort to promote filming in India has been carried out is the way the FFO has instituted the most film-friendly state award over the years. And for that, I would like to bring in Mr. Shaji Karun, who's been the chairman of the jury of the most film-friendly state awards. Shaji sir, if you can share your views on how the states have worked in their own capacities to attract the attention of filmmakers and the criteria that you consider when the awards are decided. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. It was a lovely experience that I could able to work with the Film Facilitation Office under NFDC in Delhi to find out there were 17 contenders from different states all over India, but we decided to give away award for a good reason to Sikkim. For us, the way that we see the topographic environment, as well as we look at the people, how you receive filmmakers there. And you see that the landscape, the Kanchenjunga, which is the highest peak in India, probably belongs to them, this flora, fauna, and then the people there, they receive the filmmakers with a lot of enthusiasm for that reasons when compared to the rest of the people. Then a small place in India, which is a northeastern belt of India, probably will be able to find so much of warmth to that place is something which was appealing to us, all of jury, which was compromising around five members from all over India. When we discussed in that depth, because of the people there, especially the Buddhism and Hinduism, Christianity, and everything, putting it together, it's a vast religious background as well as the topographical level. It is being addressed to the filmmakers' point of view. Like I am myself is a filmmaker from how to address what you wanted to mold up our content to the kind of people when you approach them. When you have an equipment, we have the people, and then the kind of hospitalities which we receive from there. We thought it is Sikkim is very unique in that way, and not because of that. I point out that Sikkim is very unique. The whole of India, probably. I come from Kerala for that reason also. And I am also like a chairman in the Kerala State Film Development Corporation, which now we have post-production centers, like, which is happening in another 1 year, where you can access your instrumentalist from your own studio in European countries, and then your music director can guide them. It's a remote facilities, like a colorist in India, you could be able to guide them from your own place without going to London, and a colorist for any part of the world. You can choose them. All those facilities are available at cheaper cost and reasonable cost, probably 1/3 of the cost which we can able to get it any part of the world. Same technology, same equipment, with so much of talent behind it. And therefore, India is full of talents with a high degree of focus on what the new cinema should look like. That I think India is full of efficient technicians as well as creators and contenters for that reasons. And I think Film Federation Office under NFDC is giving enough guidance. For example, even for my domestic purpose, where Kerala wanted to make some support from the railways, which I know that Vikramjit went into the action, and we were able to get it in a few days, which was not possible earlier. So the whole thing is becoming more transparent in many ways. And I myself was probably in 1998 with my last film, which is in Cannes, was a French co-production. Probably that is the first co-production happened with the French in India, which we got won awards there and many awards. And then even Renato Berto, one of the well-known name in Europe, and he could able to handle my camera. And then there is a sound recordist who won the national award for that film from India. And so much of cooperation, which we introduced Panavision from there. At that time, it was new Panavision in India. At that time, the new technology was there. Then Renato was the cinematographer who was handling the cinematography part. He could be able to check some of the negatives with the Prasad Lab and the Eclair Lab in France. And he himself wrote me saying that the negative is much better in India rather than the Eclair Lab. So he decided to process the whole lot in India for that reason. And again, I would love to say that probably in Cannes, I am a regular. My first film, second film, third film, it was continuously running. Probably I am the only person, 25 years, was in competition then. And that was in 94. Probably, and the competition films, which after that is the French production, which I got it from the many European side. My next film is also a Polish film, Polish, Armenian, and in Indian corporations, which I think I can do the whole lot in India. I need Himalaya for that thing. I go to Sikkim or I go to Madhya Pradesh for that reason. Or for my purpose, I need big. Huge, mansions and then palaces in India, which is to me the Indian aesthetics, which has been familiar to everywhere. And my music is been composed by a Polish music director in opera form. So I can do it in India from here with my support from India and musicians and 100 violins in Polish theater. We could be able to get it. It was not possible, but that facilities are available here. And that's why India, in the last 2 or 3 years, it's huge in constructive levels, getting permission as well as the technology, as well as the technicians, and making films at 1/3 the cost anywhere, any part of the world. Which I believe that's my personal experience. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that great insight, and best of luck for your next project. And I'm sure the FFO's facilities will facilitate your shoot even better in terms of the locations that you want. The other point about attracting shoots, especially international shoots, is how a country offers various kind of incentives and so on. And for that, I come back to Dhanpreet ma'am. I had asked you even that this thing around the time of the Film Bazaar session. I think the whole industry, especially the international industry, is waiting with bated breath about your rebate schemes and your incentives. So, ma'am, can you please give us some insight or some timeline of when we can expect that?
Yeah, when we had spoken of this last time, so then I said that we are examining few models of the incentives that are being given by different countries. Because some are offering incentives on co-producing with Indian producers. Some are offering incentives on shooting permissions in India. Some are offering as tax rebates. So we have examined certain things, and now we are in the process of finalizing it. So I can surely promise that very soon we'll be coming out with our incentives policies, and that will make India a much more attractive destination than it is now. Thank you, Nia.
Thank you, ma'am. I think everybody is going to be waiting for that. And we hope that it's going to be very attractive. the other important thing that has happened over the year is obviously safety of the pandemic. And for that, again, I would just like to get the perspectives of the producers. How has FFO or even the overall norms when it comes to shooting in a pandemic, at a pandemic time, how was that sort of planned or eased out, or your experience shooting during the pandemic? I'll start with Alan, if you'd like to share your experience.
Sure. I mean, of course, unfortunately, it has hit us really bad, and we were really affected. A lot of productions, I mean, were shut down that were in the middle of it. We were caught in the middle of it. But I think in Maharashtra, I mean, the government had asked us to create a bio bubble. So what we were doing is, with the crew, we were all staying at one hotel, even though it was local crew. Everybody was in one hotel, and we used to create a bio bubble from the drivers to the entire crew, including the cast. And nobody would be going in and out. And even the supporting actors who were there, they were all kept in a holding days with us until they finished the schedule. So that was one way of creating this. And there was also a couple of so-called COVID compliance officers that have come up right now to keep track of how the whole place is sanitized, how the crew is tested before. So there were different tiers of testing. Actors were tested almost every other day. Then the crew that is going to be closer to the actors will be tested 3 days. And then some of the other important crew were tested once a week and twice a week. So this is a way of how a bubble was created, and they had parameters so to protect the crew and the production. And that's how it was been quite successful. And in case there has been any infection, we had to shut it down for a few days, get again everyone tested, and that crew had to be replaced. The priority was always with the cast that couldn't be replaced, or the heads of department that couldn't be replaced. They were completely not able, they weren't allowed to interact with the rest of the crew. So it was made in different groups. And that's how we would use extras. When extras were coming in, there were various groups that were created, and so that there would be no interaction. And that's how we continued our shoots, by creating these bubbles. And it has worked in the last few months.
That's good to know.
Emmanuel,
I mean, right now, yeah, I think the shoots have resumed in the US, in Los Angeles and so on, where you're based. Is there any any experiences that you can share in terms of how things can be implemented in India, given the way things are coming back normal in the US?
Yeah, look, I think the protocols, in the industry has been very responsive in following the protocols, and I think the crew members themselves were just happy to get back to work and happy to follow those protocols so that everyone could stay safe. So it was a really good spirit, both here and in India, where we were completing and doing post-production. So I was involved with still handling the protocols down there. And we had another shoot as well, documentary shoot. So the crew members themselves were happy to follow those protocols, and the protocols were very much at par with what's happening here. Testing 3 times a week if you're in a group, in the core group. It really depended which tier of category you were in, how close you were to the main action of the film, basically. In post-production, you test less times. And all the other good thing is the industry really understood that there was budgets that had to be allocated to cover this whole pandemic. So that was in place, and the studios really, put up the money and made sure that everything was adhered to. So that was really responsive from all the producers and finances.
That's good to know. I think I'll bring in Vikramjit at this point to share his perspectives on what the FFO has achieved most recently, and just overall in terms of its strategy of streamlining shoots in India. So over to you, Vikram.
Thank you so much, Nyay, for your question. And I would like to thank all our panelists for their very kind words. And I assure Emmanuel and Alan and Shaji Saab when he goes to the floor and the respected nodal officer from Madhya Pradesh that the FFO will stand by them through and through. And we will be as responsive and responsible from the very word go. Nyay, this wouldn't have been possible without the guidance of the Ministry of Information Broadcasting. I think we've been very fortunate to have had that support, and we've been very fortunate to have been, given a sense of direction, which was very, very clear. Because without that, you really don't know which way you want to progress. Because there are so many administrative and governmental issues that, the fact that the government is a very, very positive stakeholder in the filming business. I think the biggest achievement, if you ask me, has been at one micro extent has been the film facilitation, the facilitation of filming. But I think the overarching macroeconomic impact has been the strategic intervention that have been made by the government of India, especially the Ministry of Information Broadcasting, on the supply side. When we look at the film economy, there's the demand side, which is the more of the consumption, the consuming of various entertainment elements. But if you look at the supply side, which is creating that ecosystem, creating that balanced ecosystem that is able to, that empowers a filmmaker to nurture his or her creative idea. When we talk about film facilitation office, or we talk about primarily saying, come home to your imagination. But, it's not just good enough to say, come home to your imagination. You've got to fulfill that imagination. And I think that's the strategic intervention in my mind. That supply side intervention in my mind, that has been fantastic. If you look at the integrations right from the Archaeological Survey of India, if you look at the fact that we even have a micro approach to location recce's, the film visa has now expanded to include web shows and series and locations. So you can actually come and do your location recce. And there's a special permission for that, which the Ministry of I&B is facilitating. It is with the support of the Ministry of I&B that we went to the Ministry of External Affairs, and a great collaboration that I have seen. And I think that is the changing narrative of India. The Ministry of External Affairs today has 120 odd missions that have nodal officers to facilitate filming visa. That's what Alan had referred to, and so did Emmanuel. We have a nodal officer even in the customs. The railways filming ecosystem is something that we are now, we have developed, and it'll very soon go online. We're just waiting for the railway authorities to give us the go-ahead. Shaji Saab just spoke about it. And as I said, irrespective of whether you're dealing with state governments, I think there's a tremendous proactiveness on that side. Integration with Uttarakhand, with Madhya Pradesh, and I must say that we've walked step by step with them as far as their filming policy has been concerned. They have a very, very proactive film policy. This entire overarching "come film in India, come home to your imagination, ignite your passion in India" could only happen if that strategic intervention, that positive intervention, that support, that the government is there with you as a stakeholder. I think the understanding of the importance of the economic aspect, 28,000 odd people have been given jobs in the last, from 2016 to 21. If I look at a small data of 65, 67 odd films that we've been able to track, the numbers are humongous, 400 odd crores coming into the economy. So I think it has only been possible because the Ministry of I&B is now an important stakeholder in the entire film value chain. That narrative was not there before. Before I joined the FFO, and I saw this part of the Ministry of I&B and the government process, and that to somebody like me who comes from the industry is a fantastic learning. And I think that is the spirit which kind of gives us, the direction of where we're going.
Yeah, the
fact that I can pick up the phone and call Dhanpreet ma'am and actually tell her, ma'am, I need this help. And I know, and I have the confidence that I know it'll be done. that she will definitely, kind of take that initiative. And that's why we're able to do what we're able to do.
That's good to know. The other obviously big change in the industry has been the explosion. You're talking about content, so just to take that point further, the explosion in OTT content and the production of OTT content right now. And as Alan worked on a series, Suitable Boys is one example. I would like to actually bring in Mr. Shukla. Sir, I believe that Madhya Pradesh has offered some incentives, and I believe you also have some incentives for OTT series also when they come to shoot to Madhya Pradesh. So if you can just expand a bit on that, sir.
Yes, absolutely, Nyaya. We have offered incentives across the board to all kinds of shootings, whether these are films or documentaries or web series for OTT platform or anything. We offer the same level of incentives to everyone across the board. And then there are certain special incentives. If our state is promoted from tourism point of view, we give some extra incentive. And then we also have capital subsidies offered for creation of filming infrastructure like studio or film city or cinema halls, etc. That's another part of incentive. And we also have a provision for providing incentives for developing a talent pool in the state to support the filmmaking. So taken together, we take care of every aspect of filmmaking by way of a very handsome set of incentives for the filmmakers. And one can go to our website of MP Tourism and just download the kind of incentives we offer.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that. Just to sort of take a view of the future in terms of what else is possible. Emmanuel, if you can sort of give your perspective in how, first of all, how is India perceived right now internationally as a shooting location? Is it only ideal for projects that have an India story connect? Or do you think India can also attract projects which may not have anything to do with India as a story, but they just want to use the location? So if, how does that, because we see that a lot with other locations like, Morocco, right, Poland, and so on. So how does India stand in that area?
I mean, look, India's it's insular in the sense that it's self-sustaining as an industry. So that in itself is amazing. And many other countries can't really boast that. From a foreign perspective, I think India at the moment doesn't come on the top of the list in terms of, let's just go shoot scenes, in the desert, as much as we've been pushing for that because the diversity of locations is incredible. But to give an example, in the years that I've shot down there, we've doubled Mexico down in Goa. We've doubled Africa in Rajasthan. We've even shot parts of Munich, which was part of a film that we're doing for Germany. I think we shot that internally. It was in interiors in Jaipur. So, but then also India has a huge scope for fantasy films, right? If you look at The Dark Knight Rises, I mean, just in terms of the canvas where we shot in Rajasthan, that in itself, is incredible. Just the backdrop and then enhancing it into whatever world you need to create. So those kind of like fantasy, that space where you can really take existing amazing, incredible locations that India has to offer and enhancing it with visual effects. We did that with The Way Back up in Darjeeling, right? I mean, there was some visual effects involved there, but it really was, at the moment, I think it doesn't come to the top of the list, but I think with more effort in terms of promoting India as an alternative to go to Morocco, or if you're looking for deserts or the diverse locations, I think it will, come to the top eventually. Just because we have that, you have a very strong domestic industry to support that. A lot of other countries, when you go to Morocco, you still have to bring a lot of crew in from the UK, and even though there's a lot of support crew there, but a lot of them don't live there. They still live in Europe, and it's a short trip. But with India, you've got a very robust domestic crew that you can come in. But look, with studio films, you tend to still bring in a lot of people, but to a lesser extent, you've still got incredible crew that are now being hired out of India to go work in Europe, or, for example, like Sanjay Sami, Key Grip with Wes Anderson. So, I mean, those type of relationships have been formed over the years, and now a lot of crew from India are traveling to go shoot internationally on international films. So I just want to go back on with MP. I think developing the local industry by supporting talent was really an important thing that he touched upon, because as a producer, when you're going into a place like MP, you know, you're guided by the locals. Even someone coming from Mumbai who's going to go shoot in MP will still need someone local. So it's great that the states are starting to try and, you know, fund those programs to, in particular, I would say location people are really required, really skilled, experienced location people. That's something that I think the states really, you know, should look at really developing.
Thanks, man. That's a great suggestion, and I'm sure the states and the FFO will look into that a bit more. Alan, I believe the kind of projects that you've handled have also included commercials and advertising films, if I'm not wrong. Just to get a perspective, because commercials have been very popular in India, like foreign shoots when they come down. Have you seen a change in that in terms of the demand for India as a country for just commercial advertising shoots?
I mean, as a company, we don't do a lot of commercials. We're really focused on long formats, but we do know that, I mean, other than exterior shoots, which are limited, as Emmanuel pointed out, if the content is not for India, a lot of interior shoots have been done. If they have a bit if they have a content that had to be shot with India and they want to finish it in one schedule, they try and squeeze in the interiors of London, something that we had done earlier, of other interiors, just to squeeze in and finish the schedule in one go. And as Emmanuel also pointed out, the talent is there in India. So they do try and finish it all together. But that's what I see. But in terms of, when it comes to locations as an exterior, it's usually content with India in place. That's what has been done so far.
Okay, that's that point that Emmanuel talked about and Mr. Shukla talked about skill sets. Dhanpreet ma'am, if you can sort of expand a bit more on how the FFO's activities are sort of in sync with the Government Skills India program. I believe at Film Bazaar also I think 2 years ago, there was this sort of initiative that was talked about skill development. So if you can talk a bit more on that.
Yes, yeah, surely. NFDC is also working on a skill development program within NFDC. We are in the process of formulating a special wing in that. So already in this pandemic, we had rolled out certain short-term courses for enhancing skill in particular sectors. Also, we are working in close collaboration with Ministry of Skill Development, and NFDC has become a certifying body for certain courses, like for digital photography, for voiceover artists. So we are in a process of bringing in different aspects of film production and filmmaking and start imparting short-term courses with the help of international mentors to the students so that a talent pool can be created in the country. That is one part of it. And also we are using the faculty of our own training institutes to give the training to the students in skill development. So the endeavor is that the different aspects of filmmaking are taught to the locals so that when international producers are coming to us, we have our own talent pool. Now, even in the film policies also, as MD MP Tourism told, there is a special focus on the skill development in their policies so that this is given a good impetus. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for that. Just to sort of round up things, I think I'll come to Vikram. Beyond just locations and what India has to offer, I think we have talked a lot about that. What I really want to know is that countries which are very popular for shootings, they also have very strong shooting facilities in terms of sound stages, studios, and which have been actually built up over in recent years actually because of the competition. So in that respect, where does India stand? Because when you want to compare just international level shooting facilities like sound stages and so on, how do you see India taking on the competition?
I think, Nyay, I had the advantage of working for a Hollywood studio very early in my life. And trust me, I've marketed films like Incredible, etc., which come from Pixar. And you'd be surprised to know that half of Pixar is probably from MS University in Baroda. So there's a huge Indian talent pool that has been nurtured in India, and then who've gone on to, kind of further enhance their careers and have gone abroad. And I think now they're all coming back. So there's been a great, over the years, as Shaji Saab mentioned, that our directors have been, and producers have been, there's been an intermingling of the film fraternity from here and that of the West. And I think that has percolated down to technology. Today, if you look at the new sectors which are pushing the media and entertainment curve, is animation, gaming, VFX, comics, and places like places like Bangalore, places like Hyderabad, Pune. There's a lot of animation VFX work that is happening. In fact, Dhanpreet ma'am will be able to share with you about the ministry's endeavor on that front. But suffice to say that our technology, the technical experts, the people who are at the forefront of the new frontiers of media and entertainment, as I mentioned, our labs, our studios, be it our equipment suppliers, all of that, there's been a huge enhancement of the quality of services that are coming out. I mean, let's look at a basic service like a light production service. I mean, there are people like Alan, we've learned so much from him. We've learned so much from Emmanuel. I remember meeting him when we went for a Warner Brothers pitch, and he was sitting there and telling us how to do it. And he brings the studio perspective. Alan was telling us on ground, how does it need to be facilitated? And all those learnings that you're seeing now. So I think from a technology perspective, from a personnel perspective, what we call the filmic resources in India are equivalent to anywhere else in the world. I mean, there's so much of back-end work that happens, especially, as I said, in Hyderabad, Bangalore, Pune. So much of animation work that is happening, gaming that is happening. It's all happening out of here in India. So I'm absolutely confident that, besides location, we're also very rich in terms of filmic resources. And I think that's going to be pushing us through.
Okay, that's.
I think the big opportunity going forward for India is really to build out the LED, Unreal Engine kind of studio spaces, because, like you said, you've got a lot of the technicians, you've got a lot of the infrastructure already in place, and a lot of the back office, a lot to create those worlds, and you don't have to leave the studio. The Mandalorian style created in in the
video
space.
walls.
So I think
those huge video walls that they did.
It's a huge opportunity for India, I think. And with the pipelines that can move data across borders, it's limitless.
Yeah, that's interesting, because that will only increase the interaction between India and the international community when technology kind of becomes center stage. I'll bring in Mr. Shaji Karun, sir. So what is your take on the way facilities are evolving in India as a filmmaker? What is your perspective on this particular point that we're discussing?
In 1 year, or even now, probably we are in par with the production facilities. If you look at abroad out there, there's not much of differences. So some time back, I was in China for the reason that I found out the language portion of it. It's a little difficult. And now in India, in that way, the English is quite common anywhere, any part of India, and they're speaking with the common talents and the technicians is much more easier than in the other side also, which I believe. And currently, updating the technology, which India is primarily the very beginning filmmaking country, like anywhere part of. As soon as the French Lumiere brothers made the film, immediately in 6 months, it has been showcased here. Therefore, in technology and making 2,000 films a year probably, and then the use of technology in India is much faster and superior, and also world class. That's what. So that the technicians' talents is also popped up with the technology in part with anywhere. That's what I mean. That's what we are doing also in terms of the Film Development Corporation, which I already said, we are setting up. We are now setting up a 4K LED walls for the advertisement for instead of going for the green mats, which is very common now. It is almost similar to any part of it, and you can shoot anywhere. Anything can be reconstructed in our studio. Whether you can shoot in, look like in Paris, or you can anywhere, any part of it. So that is being also set up, virtual sites as well as the technological part. We are competent with any part of the world. That's what I can say.
Yes, sir. That's very interesting to know. Just in sort of closing, I would say that maybe Vikram and Dhanpreet ma'am could sort of expand on this. You know, the one other way to attract shoots is that, of course, you build the infrastructure, but then building that infrastructure could also be a partnership, like an international partnership. I'll give an example. Like Pinewood Studios, I mean, as Emmanuel would probably know, and Alan probably knows, they had a very ambitious project in Malaysia some years ago. And then Lucasfilm set up a facility in Singapore for their VFX and animation. What is the government doing in that sense in terms of attracting FDI, I would say, to build these kind of collaborative infrastructure projects? Is there something like that that can be presented as an idea?
Ma'am?
See, as we look at Indian film industry, it's basically private sector driven. So government initiative, governments enter at the point where we can set up a model for others, or for those facilities for which government intervention is required. Film industry sector in India is already covered under 100% FDI. So as of now, I mean, the private studios are doing very, very good, excellently well, in fact. So many state governments are also helping the projects in their own states for setting up studios. But I would say that nothing with us right now, but maybe something to look forward to. And frankly, we haven't received any such kind of communication as well that we need government interference in that. If some kind of government initiative in that would be required for collaborating or for showcasing something, so I don't think we'll hesitate in that.
Okay, that's good to know. And I hope people listening to this panel will start thinking about that in terms of collaborating with India at a much deeper level, on a ground level. I think in closing, I would invite Nija ma'am to sort of give us the closing remarks about this discussion and her views as a conclusion and as a takeaway. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. It has been a great session listening to all of you, and so many insightful points have come from all of you. Basically, that we have a great backdrop, we have a great present, and we have to look for an even greater future. Basically, generally, as Dhanpreet has said, that the role that we look at is more of an enabler, and to ensure that whatever you want to do, there are no hiccups in that. And across the governments, state governments and the central government, everybody put together, you should not feel, it should be a seamless experience for you. That's how we are here. In fact, one takeaway for me, I was just sitting and thinking that we need to touch base with the state governments and look at their film policies, and how we can, suppose somebody has to go from one state to another, how we can make it easy for such filmmakers. So that is one takeaway for the ministry, so far as I'm concerned, that we'll be having a conversation with the state governments on their film policies and how we can make it even better. And facilities that are being given by X can also be, looked into by Y and Z and the rest, so that we are together on the kind of, we can get better. That's a better future that we are looking at, and we should be able to do nyay to the filmmakers, right, Nyay?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. I think you'll make me a brand ambassador the way things are going. Yeah, I mean, thank you, ma'am, for your views, and thank you to all the panelists for their fantastic inputs and everything. All I can say in conclusion is that we are in the virtual India Pavilion at Cannes, and if we were at the actual India Pavilion at Cannes, I think after this session, we would all sit down and have some fantastic tea there. I believe the India Pavilion has really good tea and samosas and stuff which international delegates come to the... I still haven't been to the India Pavilion at Cannes myself, so this is a good start for me to do it virtually. So after this, please everybody have chai and samosas, even if it's 5 a.m. for Emmanuel in LA. But think of it as if you're in the Cannes India Pavilion. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Dhanpreet, ma'am. Thank you, Nija, ma'am. And thank you, Emmanuel, Vikramji, Alan, Shaji, sir, and Mr. Shukla. And we look forward to more such interactions. And next time, we are definitely meeting in person. This is for sure. Thank you.
Definitely. I miss the India Pavilion in Cannes. It's really a nice place to go to.
Yeah, we all do. But we'll be meeting soon. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.